Welcome back to the H Town Huddle, everybody. Yes, we got by the Pittsburgh Steelers for an unbelievable first wild card victory on the road, setting records. But we are back this week, H Town Huddle, doing it once again. There will be a show next week as well, regardless of the outcome of this game this weekend happening tomorrow. It is Saturday morning, a beautiful Saturday morning. I hope everybody's having a great start to their divisional wildcard weekend. But like I said, this is the H Town Huddle on the GWN network. Make sure you're giving us a like and a subscribe. It really helps out if you like this video. That helps with the algorithm. So please make sure you guys do that. Spread the love, spread the wealth, and make sure you get us noticed. But getting right into it, welcome back. This is the most dangerous Texans show on YouTube. Today, we're diving deep into a heavyweight AFC Divisional matchup. Your Houston Texans marching into Foxborough to take on the New England Patriots in a playoff weather that feels like it was built to last. It was built to test that toughness. So I'm pumped up. I'm ready for this one, ready to rock and roll. Houston enters this game riding a 10-game winning streak, the longest in the NFL. Patriots, they're fresh off their first playoff win since 2018, and they've got their franchise quarterback and their shutdown corner both healthy for this chess match. Can't wait for this one. Really, really excited, folks. It's going to be a great match happening tomorrow afternoon, early slate for this one. It's going to be a cold weather war, and this is Texans football in January. What more could you ask for? So really pumped, really excited for this. Lots of stuff to get into for this one today. First, we're going to talk about the talk of the town, what's been happening, what everybody's been talking about, all week, the quarterback play, CJ Stroud versus Drake Maye. Just wild card series numbers only. Texans quarterback CJ Stroud, 21 of 32, 244 yards, 1 TD, 1 interception, 7 yards per attempt, 3 sacks taken. Overall play, calm, pretty efficient. He did not protect the football very well. That was the main talking point for most of the week out there on the socials and stuff like that. So that's going to be something to look at for, be interested in to see if he can manage to protect the football in this cold weather. On the other side of the football, you got Drake Maye, Patriots wild card performance versus the Chargers. He was 17 of 30 for 68 yards total, 1 TD, 1 interception, 6.7 yards per attempt, 5 sacks taken, 66 rushing yards, and that was the playoff decider in that one, I believe, really giving them the edge in that one, his 66 rushing yards on the ground. So the mobility was the difference in that win there for them. So if you want to take a look at it, just kind of looking back from this one, I'm going to give you some edges per these deals, and then we'll talk about the narrative, right? But the QB edge and the passing overall, I believe, goes to CJ Stroud being a little bit more proficient, a little more efficient in the pocket once he's given some time, turnovers aside. I do like him in the passing game. Texans had, I believe, over 400 yards passing. I should have something for that. Let's see. Give me 1 second. Sorry. Bear with me, folks. AFC wildcard offenses right there on the screen. You see them right in front of you. Those are the numbers that they're dealing with. So Houston Texans first in this one game played, obviously, but 66 plays on offense for 408 yards. 6.2 per play. And then you have New England right underneath them, 64 plays, 381 yards of offense. And this is, of course, just the AFC side of things. But yeah, with CJ Stroud, talking about him, a lot of pressure, a lot of unnecessary hate, because if you look at what Drake Maye did on the other side, his numbers were virtually identical, same amount of turnovers. So that's something we pointed out on the GWN network over the week. Just making sure that, we're fair on both sides. I think that these are two really good football teams, two really good defenses. The offense is sus at times. So, it's basically an even matchup, in my opinion. Of course, you have Drake Maye, the MVP, and all these things, and he's great on the ground running. But then you have the #1 defense on the other side of the Houston Texans in many categories. So I do think that this is going to be a great matchup to watch this weekend. Keep your eyes peeled or glued on the screen for this one, folks. Here we go. Here's some other stuff. Basically, this is via ESPN analytics, but given the slight edge to the New England Patriots, of course, with Nico Collins missing and New England Patriots cold weather and the home field advantage. But it's virtually a coin flip for me in all these regards. Just looking at all things, all analytics, all data together here in this one. But yeah, that's it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. Texans, like I mentioned off the top, 10-game winning streak, how to win 10 games straight. And, a lot of that has to do with their defense, the back-end guys like Kayshon Boutte right there, and Kamari Lassiter, Lock and Hawk, as they call them, Fire and Ice. We got Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson as well, the nightmare fuel. So these guys, on the defense, leading the charge, leading the way for the Houston Texans, obviously. And then some newfound joy in rookie running back Woody Marks, who had some success on the ground, getting that dub for the Houston Texans this last weekend, going over, I believe, 100 yards. And with a score, Texans doing it on the ground, 106. We'll get into that here in a second as well. And we'll talk about some of the other players in this matchup. Checking in with the chat. What is up, Lee? Appreciate you for jumping in early this Saturday morning as we break this down real quickly. Probably about another 20, 25 minutes on this show before we run through it all. Give you my bold predictions and score breakdowns. But lots of hype, lots of energy. We ready for this one, baby. Let's go. H-Town. H is up. Texans players left Houston about an hour ago this morning on a cold send-off. They're on their way to Foxborough as we speak. So safe travels to them. But getting right back into everything here with this one. Right back into the quarterback play, like I mentioned, we had the 66 rushing yards. I was just talking about the difference there. So the narrative, Stroud's got to win from the pocket and may be in some trouble, but he must survive Houston's man coverage coupled with that pass rush. And the Texans like to mix it up. They play a lot of quarters, not so much a lot of zone, a lot of good communication out there. But it's not like they're trying to sneak anything by you or trick you with the coverage or anything like that, which is probably what the New England Patriots are a little bit more known for, at least this last week versus the Chargers in the wild card round. But let's move on to our pass catchers, the second part, the second section here. Quarterbacks aside, and of course we'll touch on them and sprinkle them here on in through the rest of the broadcast here. But pass catchers, Texans wide receiver room, we know that there is no Nico Collins. Unfortunately, he has been ruled out with a concussion. So no Nico Collins, no number one wide receiver, no 1,000-yard receiver, big body, 6'4", 220-pound guy out there on the outside for the Houston Texans. He was unable to clear protocol in time with the late game on Monday, and then traveling back to Houston and then traveling out this way. Just not enough time for him to recover and get any practices in there. So hopefully he's okay. He'll be able to recover quickly, and we'll see if, what happens after this weekend, right? But Nico Collins, unfortunately, will be out with a concussion, 1,117-yard wide receiver one. But in his absence comes out of nowhere, seemingly, finally probably feeling good off of that hamstring injury that he was dealing with most of the first part of the season, is wide receiver slot demon Christian Kirk out of nowhere. Christian Kirk last week versus the Steelers looked smooth, had, I think, 8 catches for like 144 yards, set all types of Texans franchise receiving records, all types of playoff. He led all wild card receivers last week as well. So Christian Kirk getting it done, 8 for 144, and the tug, using him sparingly, actually quite often out of the slot. And so looking good in the absence. Once Nico Collins went out, you see Christian Kirk kind of just, flying off the radar, becoming somebody that was looking smooth and spry for the Houston Texans. I have some film clips, don't have a lot of time to get into to a lot of that, so probably run it down and then maybe we can do some film breakdown after that. But you guys have seen the highlights. You've seen some of the tosses that with a clean pocket, CJ Stroud was able to find Christian Kirk for chunk plays down the field on the Steelers secondary. Like I had mentioned, was going to be able, they might be able to have some success with those coverages. So looking good, Christian Kirk. Not to be confused with Charlie Kirk, who for some reason Stephen A. Smith called him that, and there was a whole lot of stuff. If you go on Twitter, on the internet, you'll find a whole lot of funny things like this. Rest in peace. Sorry, Charlie Kirk, but yeah, doing his thing. I did talk about, this being one of those crazy matchups, one for the ages. We have Drake Maye being first in passer rating, and then of course our Houston Texans secondary second in passer rating allowed. So it's just going to be a battle of wits. This is going to be a great one. This is what football's all about. Texans have, the history's not on the Texans side as far as the divisional round goes, but I think this is the year for them to have streaks be broken, for them to break those curses. They already did it last week. First time in history that they get a road win in the playoffs. They've entered the playoffs every year as the division champion, so they end up hosting a wild card game on a Saturday. This time they were on the road on a Monday night out there in Steeler land, and they took care of business. It ended up being a blowout, albeit fourth quarter heroics from the defense while CJ Stroud struggled a little bit, but that's nothing to like just bat an eye at. The Houston Texans offense also scored 2 touchdowns, one on the ground, one in the air. And like I mentioned, 408 yards of total offense on a pretty good Steeler defense, who's playing pretty well at the time at home in a playoff game. So, I think that greatly exaggerated were the struggles of the Houston Texans offense last week, and I know we saw it, and it was a defensive battle and all that, but the turnovers and the turnover in the red zone, very uncharacteristic of CJ Stroud, very uncharacteristic of just the way he plays in general. All of his other previous red zone attempts before that, and hadn't thrown a red zone interception. He had 34 red zone TDs before that without an interception. So just uncharacteristic. But at the last time, or the last 3 games where CJ Stroud himself has had bad games like this, bad performances with 3 or more turnovers. Actually, he's never had 3 or more, but 3 turnovers. There's been 3 occasions. Each one of those games, the Houston Texans have still won. So that's crazy. When he has a bad game, the rest of the team kind of helps and picks him up. And, vice versa. I've seen CJ Stroud, when defense was struggling many years ago in his rookie year and halfway through his sophomore year, just pick up the team and do what needed to be done to elevate his game. So glad to see everybody acting and behaving as a cohesive unit, not getting their heads down, having faith in CJ Stroud even when things aren't going well. And I believe that the defense is the same thing. If they end up giving up a big play, I think that they just turn right back around and they're able to answer the call, So a lot of confidence in this team. I think that they match up very well with this New England Patriots team on the road in Foxborough. And revenge narrative, man, just revenge narrative. They've always gotten us out there. Texans are 0-2 in the divisional round versus Tom Brady. And then this ain't the Tom Brady Patriots. I know that this is, it's a different team and Vrabel's a good coach, but, I just have a great feeling about this. Just going in there, even without our wide receiver 1, Nico Collins, and with them having Christian Gonzalez back, regardless. I mean, Christian Kirk stepped up great. Hopefully he can do something like that again. Like I said, smooth, reliable. He's a chain mover. Will he be shadowed by Christian Gonzalez? Probably not, right? So CJ Stroud just being available to see who's open, make some plays. Can't forget about guys like Jaden Higgins, Jalen Noel, the rookies who need to step up. And then, of course, we'll get into it here in the next section. But let's just for a moment talk about Kayshon Boutte real quick. 4 catches for 68 yards last week. He is explosive after the catch. Patriots like to scheme him open on crossers. The matchup note, like I mentioned already, Christian Gonzalez clearing. So Texans wide receivers like Higgins and Noel and all those other guys, Xavier Hutchinson perhaps need to step up. And they've always been kind of reliable there for CJ Stroud when Nico Collins has been out. So let's get those 3 Iowa State boys, Hutchinson, Higgins, Noel, out there doing things. And then, of course, we'll talk about Mr. Dalton Schultz, the tight end, the Texans tight end 1, on there on the perimeter. So last week for him, did his part. He's a safety valve for CJ Stroud. He had 4 catches for 48 yards. And then I would obviously expect an increase in target production this week with the absence of Nico Collins. On the other side, Hunter Henry, the Patriots tight end 1, had 3 catches for 29 yards versus the Chargers. He's always a red zone threat, and the Patriots use him very well on play action seams up the middle. So there is a slight edge, I believe, in the volume, the trust, and maybe the impact that might be had with Dalton Schultz in this game. So hopefully that comes to fruition, and that's the way that the Texans can keep moving the chains as well, not having to rely solely on Christian Kirk maybe underneath or Jalen Noel. Hopefully Jalen Noel is part of the game plan this week, and I've been waiting for a big special teams breakout return. Hopefully he can get something going for us in that regards and have a spark on offense for the Texans. Quickly, we'll move into the running backs real quick now. Texans running backs versus the Steelers last week. Woody Marks, 14 carries, 82 yards, had the tug. Nick Chubb, another 10 carries, pitching in 54 yards, 5.4 carry, 5.8 for Woody. Team high, 164 yards in the playoffs versus a stout steel curtain. I really like the way that worked. Right off the bat, first couple of plays in that game, it looked like they were getting a good interior push with Ingram and Andrews. Some of the guard play also on the inside. So bringing in the jumbo packages with Blake Fisher. I think if we can get that going again, hopefully, right, you can lean on that run game, and it'll help to dictate, especially in this cold weather kind of atmosphere that we got going. And on the same note, the Patriots are basically the same thing on the other side. They got a running back duo, not necessarily a rotation like the way the Texans have it. It looks like they were leaning on TreVeyon Henderson a little bit more as a bell cow row. He had 18 carries last week for 104 yards, 5.8 a carry as well. Team total of 146, virtually identical here, just a few less rushing yards than the Texans. But I will give an edge to nobody in this one in that sense. That I think that both teams are pretty even. You got Ramondre Stevenson, as we call him, out there. He had, I think, a 50-something yard reception last week to kind of help boost his numbers, but it was all TreVeyon Henderson. I think the Texans really good, really stout versus stopping the run, especially on early downs. They play that base defense. They're not disguising anything. Aaron Rodgers at first was kind of like picking up on signals that said, hey, okay, these guys are sitting back. Let's try to run here, and just trying to pick his spots. But, after a little while, there was really nothing open, nothing to be done, nothing to be had there, even off of the turnovers. They ran 10 plays for like 4 yards and 1 point and had to settle for a field goal, and they got no points off of the other 2 turnovers the Steelers did in that game. So Texans defense really strong, holds well, especially when put in bad situations by the offense, regardless of what ends up happening there. A lot of trust in that defense. Elite. Them in Seattle are the only ones I think that really stick out without having to blitz offenses and still get the job done, get pressure with just the front 4. So it's going to be very interesting to see how that shakes out. But, like I said, both teams very even in the run game. Both ran the ball extremely well last week versus pretty good playoff defensive opponents, excuse me. I think the Texans have that nice rotation going on, and the Patriots have a nice receiving option out of that. So that's something the Texans need to watch, especially with guys like H2O trying to cover the backfield. Good morning, Marco from the future. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Let's check in again real quick. We love you, Nico Collins. Get better. Appreciate you, Bogey at GMM Network. Give me money, everybody. Shout out to the Ginger Ninja, top of the morning. Let's go, Houston. I appreciate that, man. Thank you, sir. Hope you're staying cold out there in Minnesota, buddy. Let's do it. Let's do it. The W goes to who is the stronger in the force. So they're tapping in, man. They're tapping in. I think if you've seen some of these player interviews, players real locked in for the Houston Texans. Will Anderson especially feels like this is a team of destiny type of thing. You go back and watch Jalen Petrie mic'd up this last week, please. It's an 8-minute watch. Great stuff. He actually calls the Kayshon Boutte interception a whole quarter before it happens. He's asking him, if you get the pick, are you going to run it back in? Or are you going to go down? He's sitting on the bench, and he's like, what's going to happen, right? He's talking to Bullock. He's like, they're going to try to throw on us. We're going to pick it off and score. They're going to get mad. And we're going to go home. And then it happened. So go check that out. Really cool. But appreciate that. Appreciate you, Marco, all the way from Germany, checking in, man, doing the thing. Appreciate you guys. Let's start to wrap this one up, though. We'll get to third down performances real quick. Texans were great last week on offense, basically elite on offense. CJ Stroud, 10 of 15 in picking up third downs. Their defense, elite on the other side, dominant, only allowed 2 third down conversions of 14 attempts from the Steelers. Patriots, offense, not so good, 4 of 11 on offense, picking up third downs. But their defense was also elite, only allowing 1 of 10 conversions on third downs. So it's going to be a third down chess match. Texans offense versus Patriots defense. Patriots offense versus Texans defense. Both sides have a strength that directly counters the other. So it's just going to be an interesting, intriguing matchup to watch, baby. It's going to be crazy. We've already gone over the injury report in depth, so I'm going to go ahead and just move past that. No need to bring it up anymore. No need to make excuses. We know it's going to be in the 30s. It's going to be perfect football weather. The passing game might be slightly suppressed a little bit on both sides. Ball security obviously going to become critical, and it's going to be an issue again. Running backs are going to gain value in this one, so it's going to be one of those old school, tough running football games with tough defense, maybe some snow. So it's going to be a really great one to watch. Patriots cold weather advantage is real, so hopefully, that doesn't hurt the Texans too much. But the matchup summary coming up here, Texans have better QB efficiency overall. Drake Maye fumbles the football a lot, gets pressured a lot. They have the better third down offense. They have the best defense in the NFL is in the EPA per play. And they're a turnover machine. They're plus 17 on the season in the turnover margin. Patriots have the advantage for home field. They got the cold weather stuff going for them. They have an elite pass defense that likes to mix up coverages and confuse quarterbacks. Christian Gonzalez is back and healthy. And of course, they have what everybody's talking about and why the Patriots are going to win according to their fan base. It's because they have Drake Maye's mobility, right? So all that said, we're moving on to the last, or my favorite portion of the entire program here. This is where I give you my personalized projections, how I see it breaking down. My final score projection on this one, I got them actually taken right in line with what the over-under is or whatever, but actually I'm going to hit it just a tad over. We're going to go Texans defense helps out 23-20 Patriots the Texans over the Patriots. That's why I think the Texans are going to win. They're going to force 2 turnovers. Point. The Texans are going to run for 140 yards maybe. again, we'll see what happens there. But Drake Maye may struggle versus the man coverage. The game's going to probably be decided in the last final minutes of this game, probably coming down to the last 5 minutes of in the fourth quarter. Hopefully it doesn't come down to the field goal, but that's the way I have it playing out. 23-20, Texans over the Patriots. Bold prediction time. Woody Marks breaks 90 yards rushing. Number one, be great. Dalton Schultz scores a touchdown. It's been a while since he got into the end zone. No Nico Collins this week. I think that, he may find a crease. They're going to maybe put in a package there for Dalton Schultz near the red zone. And when they get in there, take a shot at the big body tight end who has sure hands. Next, bold prediction. Texans defense gets, count them, 1, 2, 3, 4 sacks on Drake Maye. They allowed 5 last week. The Patriots offense did versus the Chargers. I think the Texans can get at least 4 in this one. Christian Gonzalez holds Captain Kirk under 60 yards receiving, but the Texans win the turnover battle. This is the moment, H-Town. Cold weather, road playoffs, defense versus defense, Stroud versus Maye, Boutte versus the Lone Star Lockdown Fantastic Four, Christian Gonzalez versus everybody else, our defense versus theirs. Who's going to take it all, baby? Who knows? But tune in. Let's watch the Houston Texans kick some butt next week. I'll catch you guys on the next one.
It's special. We saw that practice. We practiced off this week, man. Hey, them boys are tired. Let's keep it up this week, man. Texans!
Little bitch.